Do, 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 do. Did that sound royal? Like I know what I'm doing? Welcome back to the, I think, 41st century. The 41st episode of the Nobody Asked for This podcast. I think we're actually only in the 21st century. So if I wanted to do an episode themed after the century that we were in, the time for that was 20 episodes ago. But isn't that a treat? Welcome back to the Nobody Asked for This podcast. I hope that everybody is having just a splendid day. Now, I have some news. I don't know, because for whatever reason, the promotion of this event was not as big as it was in recent years, in years past, in yesteryear. But for whatever reason, nobody cared to tell me or acknowledge to me that spring sprang on Monday. Spring has started. It started on Monday. I think there is a time to the start of spring. I think it was like 2:40 something, which like that is confusing to me. Like, shouldn't it just be like a day, like as opposed to like a time? But that's fine. Okay, spring has sprang, and for whatever reason, like I'm just not seeing spring. It's just not being promoted as much. I don't know if the weather people have like put their budget elsewhere, if there's just, if funds are low this year for the promotion of the seasons that are just naturally happening anyway, or what. But I feel like every year, I'm a real sucker for signing up for like an email program, like an email subscription. Like I'll really just throw my email into anything, which is a problem because then I get like 3,000 emails. Like, I'm not even kidding you, like 3,000 unread emails about stuff that I do not care about, and emails that I'll never read and or open. Now, the reason I don't mind it as much is that usually the reason for putting your email into those things is you're getting some sort of a coupon, a one-time, one-use coupon. And then you think, oh my gosh, like it's so nice, like they're giving me a free chocolate bar. But then you don't realize that, yes, you're getting a free chocolate bar, but in return, they're putting you on an email list that'll run to the end of time. Like literally to the end of time. I think the rapture will happen, and Old Navy will still be sending me emails about nothing, about everything and nothing at the same time. I have faith that they have the infrastructure to do that because I've seen it for years. So you think like, oh my gosh, I'm getting 10% off. Like I win, joke's on them, ha. Take that, corporate people. The corporate people are getting us in return. I'm pretty sure they're selling our data, because like every once in a while I've been getting calls from Bermuda. Like, where is that? The Bermuda Triangle? Let's do some Googling. Is Bermuda and the Bermuda Triangle the same idea? Is Bermuda a country? Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. It's like an island. That's awesome. It's just it's kind of in the middle of the North Atlantic, not the middle, towards America in the North Atlantic Ocean. Obviously, I knew that. So it would be never eat shredded wheat. It's in northwestern Atlantic Ocean. My new thing lately, and I'll get back to, those email subscriptions. My new thing lately has been using East and West. Because north and south I got, like north is up, south is down, easy. Where does Santa live? The North Pole, he lives up. Where do the penguins live? The South Pole, they're, chilling down. But east and west have always confused me because for whatever reason, east sounds left to me and west sounds right to me. Unfortunately, that is, depending on where you're standing, that is not how the map works. It is, in counterclockwise, never eat shredded wheat. So right is technically east. Unless, of course, you turn around and you face the other direction. Then I would be correct. So really, it's all about perspective. But back to Old Navy. Those email subscriptions. I would just like to know, what are they doing? Like, what's it to them? Because, again, I normally sign up and get, like, a 10% discount. And I think that I'm winning, but it's like nothing in life is free. If you learn anything from this podcast, nothing is free. Everything costs something. And usually when you think you're winning is the exact moment that you're losing. Ooh, that was actually, when you say something and you're like, did anyone write that down? I think I'm recording this well. So I would just like to know like what these email people are gaining from me. And I'm sure I could read the terms and conditions. That information is probably readily available, but it's just like in such legal jargon and corporate jargon and jargon that I don't understand that I'm not going to read it. So if I have a lawyer or some sort of professional that wants to go through those things and just let me know like exactly where they're selling my data, and if it has any relation to the calls I've been getting from the Bermuda Triangle, I would really, really appreciate that. But yeah, my point being, it's spring and no one told me. Like, not one, it's spring email from like a department store that I've subscribed. And I guess just to close out the email talk, I could unsubscribe. I could. No one's forcing me to get those emails, especially, I already have the 10% off shirt in my closet, Old Navy. Ha. The problem is they make it next to impossible to do so. Like, you will click unsubscribe and it'll be like, are you sure you want to unsubscribe? And then I click yes. And then it'll be like, take you to a page and it's like, you will get an email to confirm your unsubscription. And then you have to open that email and it's just like, stop. No more emails. Done. Finito. I don't want an email confirming that I'm going to get another email, because that sounds like another email in which I didn't ask to receive. No more. Speaking of canceling things, the worst thing I think anyone has ever done ever, maybe top 15, is whoever idea it was to make some free trials uncancelable online. You're dead to me. Like, you have to call some free trials. I remember I was probably about 10, 11, 12. Obviously didn't have my own credit card, but I wanted a free trial of, it might have been some sort of a streaming service. This would have been like, just as those things were kind of starting to make their way. It was like right after Netflix kind of became not about DVDs and more about, you're watching it on the internet. And then like people started copying them, of course. So their monopoly started slipping from their grasps. And now I think they're becoming bankrupt. That's another story for another day. But I used, of course, my, a parental's credit card. And I was the worst at canceling the stuff. Because I realized, just monitoring my own behavior the past couple years, as I like to do. I like to almost do like studies where I am both the researcher and the participant, because no one else will do that. And you could actually argue that this podcast is my way of relaying my findings to the public, even though, again, weekly reminder, no one listens to this. I know. You don't have to think, oh, this poor kid thinks no one's listening. I know, trust me. Oh, I see the numbers. There's no one. Zero views. And I'm pretty sure the ones that we do get are just me testing it and making sure that it worked. Or I think Spotify sometimes feels bad and it's like, do you know what? I'm sure we commit worse fraud. Let's just put a 3 in place of a 0 on the view count or the listener count of this episode, titled something about hot Cheetos. You know what I mean? I think they really do their charity work. I'm sure if you go on their Spotify corporate website, there's usually a tab that it's giving back to the community or whatever. It's probably my podcast logo. We support local talent by giving them fake views. Should I buy Instagram followers? I was thinking about that the other day, because you could really just fake it till you make it. I think if you have, because there is websites where you can go on and you can buy BS followers. How much? I'm gonna Google it. How funny would that be? How much does it take? But speaking of Bermuda, I can't imagine subjecting yourself to those companies. You're going to be getting so many fake emails and calls. And okay, Okay, buying. We're going to do this together so that we're all accomplices. Buying. I'll get back to whatever I was talking about before. I actually can't remember. Buying Instagram followers. Here we go. Let's just see the rate. Yes, you can buy followers on Instagram from a wide range of sites at different price points. Where's the discount? Instagram followers. I would like to buy from the Value Village. Okay, choose your provider. What is this, a cell phone? Pick your plan. Okay, basic. The most basic options are the most obvious fakes. They don't have profile photos or posts on their feed, but they exist for now anyway. Perfect, so we can do that. Oh, so it's like people making fake accounts. Okay, it's like a timeline. Okay, so we're going to go on Get Insta. EasyGetInsta.com. Okay. Ooh, do we want to do daily followers? So like I think you get a daily rate. Or do we want to do instant? I think instant. We want instant gratification. Okay. $5.99 for 200 followers. That's actually not that bad. Or $60 for 3,000 followers. You know what? I'm going to think about this. This is very reminiscent of the time that I wanted to become an ordained minister via, I think it was like the Life Church Online website. They can you just put in your information and then you can marry people off. Or not marry people off like it's like arranged marriage. You can just if someone wants to get married, if they're consenting to that experience, you can just you say, you do and I do and bada bing, bada boom, here's your marriage license, go off in the sunset for 5 to 7 years. And then, that divorce rate hits. Anyway, I didn't end up doing that because I didn't have the money going back to the credit card. Oh, that was what I was talking about. Going back to the credit card, I think I was 15 and I wasn't about to use a parental's credit card to become an ordained minister because I didn't really see the point at the time. I wasn't really knowing a lot of 15-year-old friends that were, period, not many friends, but to find within that sector of not many friends that wanted to get married, I felt like was not going to be worth the $50 fee, which I don't know what, it must be a processing fee. Do they have to talk to the marriage people? I don't really know what I'm paying for. I also don't know what power is being vested in me from Universal Life Church Online. I don't know if it's a course you have to take. I don't know if it's what their situation is. Maybe I'll do that in one episode. That could be fun. I could do a bonus episode. Not a bonus, but a fun-sized episode of me buying BS Instagram followers and then becoming an ordained minister. And I think I should do it in that order. I think if I were to become an ordained minister, and then my first act as such would be to fraudulently purchase Instagram followers. I just don't think that would be good karma or indicative of, what would become my new lifestyle of being a marriage or an efficient. But yeah, back to when I had to call Crave, I think it was, to cancel because they decided, the people at Crave.com Industries, the streaming service, it's like a Netflix, decided that you couldn't cancel your free trial on Crave, that you had to call. And at 15 years old, or however, maybe 10, 11, 12, however old I was, if you had asked me to list down my biggest fears, write down my biggest fears, I would have said having diarrhea in public. I would have said walking, because that really, at that time especially, induced chub rub, which I could do a whole episode on chub rub, and I probably will. I'll probably get to a point where I have really nothing else to give except my commentary on chub rub. Luckily, we're 41 episodes in, and I'm not at that point yet, but I don't want to write it off the table, so I'm not gonna dive too deep into that topic now because I want to have it in my back pocket, or I want to have it in the scarred area in between my thighs in which the chub rub occurred for years. I want to just have that there, ready to pull out later. Excuse me, I'm not getting choked up. at the thought of chub rub. But yeah, that would have been 2 of my fears. And then the third was, of course, talking to people on the phone. Now, it was like, for whatever reason, I was terrified of the phone. And honestly, kind of for everybody, not just like for calling customer service people, calling numbers that I didn't know, answering numbers that I didn't know, which of course I didn't do. Like I was really, if you weren't a saved contact, I was not answering the phone. And that is something that has continued to this day. I don't know what's happening with my throat. One sec. I guess I could have edited that out. But regardless, terrible, hated the phone. You could argue, like, what did I think was going to happen? Like, when you're on the phone with somebody, it's actually the safest you could ever be. Because, like, you're not in front of them. They can't, like, attack you through the phone. You're in full control of when the conversation ends because you can literally just hang up. But for whatever reason, it was, like, my biggest fear. So I saw that the free trial for, I think it was, like, Crave or something. It might have been music. I don't know. I saw that it was coming up and I was like, oh, perfect. I'll just go cancel it. Like, look at me finally remembering that a free trial is coming up because I always forget. As I was saying before, I like to do studies of my own behavior. And I've really noticed that I really utilize the reminders app in my phone. And without it, would probably not remember anything. And at this time in my life, I didn't have a reminders app because I didn't have a phone. Oh, no, I probably had a phone. I don't know what my excuse was. But I was always forgetting to cancel free trials. And it was particularly bad because it was not my credit card. But this time I remember it. I was like, perfect, let me go on crave.com and we're going to take care of this. You know, I'm stepping into whatever year it was, probably like 2014, you know, new year, new me. The horror on my face when I realized that you had to call the good people at Crave TV to cancel your subscription. I was shocked. I was disgusted. I was in denial. I was shaking. I was terrified. What are other adjectives? Or not adjectives. Just adjectives, yes. We're describing nouns. I was diarrhea stricken. It was not good at all. If I didn't name the last episode diarrhea themed, I would have called this episode diarrhea stricken. Okay, we're going to table that for next time. But I was terrified. But I had to do it because I couldn't, like, at some point it was inevitable. And I think this was like really a pillar of me learning that, like, sometimes you just have to do stuff. Like, you just have to buckle down and do stuff. So I remember I called and the account was in my parents' name. So I called the number shaking on the toilet just in case anything came out. And I called and they're like, please state your name. And I was like, I panicked. Like, the first question, panicked. It was like a robot. I couldn't even get past the robot. So I'm pretty sure I hung up and I had to really strategize a game plan because I was not really calling as me because it was like an account under my parents' name. So I was like, do I say my name? Do I say, you know, my mom's name? Like, are they going to arrest me? Because when you're that age, like, I think you think anything can lead to arrest, even though, like, the people at Crave TV are not going to, via phone, via satellite, you know, pull out handcuffs to the speakers of my iPhone 4 and arrest me. But, I mean, how was I supposed to know that? So I think I called back, and I think I totally lied. I hope the statute of limitations on lying to Crave TV people has run out. I have to Google that really quickly. I might have to edit this part out, but I fully lied and said I was my mom, which sounds funny, but if you heard my voice at the time, honestly, not as far of a stretch as if I said I was my dad. No offense to me. But, you know, I have to own it. I'm standing here before you today in truth as an almost ordained minister from the Universal Online Wedding Association.com.org or whatever it's called. They didn't reject me. I rejected them. So I really wasn't interested in learning the full title of what could have been and still may be. So I called and it was a very nice woman on the phone who was like, oh yeah, you want to cancel your account? And I was like, yeah, like shaking the whole time, like ready for them to, I don't know, ask my social security number. And they're like, okay, cool, done. I was like, that's it? I felt like a kid on vaccine day of school, like freaking out, shaking, crying, screaming, throwing up. And then you actually get the needle after all this hype, and it's like you barely felt it. Like nary a prick did you feel from your, the nervous system, or not the nervous system. What's the system that feels pain? Anyway, I tried to sound smart and ended up sounding really dumb, which is one of my hobbies. But yeah, I don't know that there's a moral to that story. It's just more so interesting. Speaking of interesting, I'll get to interesting. I am terrified. Speaking of diarrhea-stricken, we are, I think, less than 3 weeks away from Easter. I think I'll never know because, as I've mentioned before, Easter makes no sense, as in it is not a continued date. It is something to do with the moon. So like last year it was in March, this year it's in April. Who the heck knows when it's going to be next year? They really got to fix that. That is a flaw. That is a character flaw of Easter. But since we just have to exist with it, I'm pretty sure it's 3 weeks away. And I have not heard one peep from a certain fast food establishment about a certain Easter-themed Cadbury cream egg McFlurry. And if it ends up not coming, I'm going to feel extremely dumb for praising said company mere weeks ago for their inclusion of the Shamrock Oreo McFlurry. I was on here nary a month ago saying, they're so, finally they've heard me, they've listened to me, they've honored me, they've supported me, and they finally have this, Oreo Shamrock Mint thing McFlurry that they've had in America forever and never brought over here, which I didn't really understand because we had an Oreo McFlurry and they have the syrup for the Shamrock shakes to just put it together. But if they're going to make me look like a fool for praising them and then 2 weeks later they take away, the reason I get up in the morning the other 11 months of the year, knowing that I'm working towards getting to Cream Egg McFlurry season, I just don't know that I can come back from this. And I keep Googling it. And now anytime I go on their Twitter, which, P.S., if you ever want to know information, I think this advice is literally only applicable to me. If you ever want to know information about a fast food service, restaurant, whatever, go in the replies of their Twitter account, because usually someone has asked that same question. So you just kind of scroll down a little bit and see if anyone else has asked. And people are asking them. The people are demanding the Cream Egg McFlurry, as they should be. If they weren't, I would move. Well, I guess I wouldn't move because it's Twitter's kind of global. I would move to a different planet. I'm going to catch me on Venus, But I'm not going to make any rash decisions because people have been asking and they're saying, keep your eyes peeled. My eyes have been peeled for the past month. It is it's the day you're listening to this. It is March 23rd. The day I'm recording this, it is March 22nd. Easter is, I think, April 10th. Where is the Cream Egg McFlurry? I'm going to do one live on the air research. McDonald's. Yeah, I don't care. The chicken Big Mac, will I try it? Absolutely. Does it sound good? Sure. But where is my Cream Egg McFlurry? It's just awful. Now, okay, if I had to, I could get their soft serve, get a couple Cream Egg McFlurries, crush them up and blend it. I really could, and it would taste the same, and honestly, probably better, because as I'm sure did I complain about this last year? No, I probably couldn't have complained about this last year because I didn't have a podcast last year. I just was probably talking to myself about it because I have a memory of complaining about the Cadbury Cream Egg McFlurry to nobody, but I guess it just wasn't recorded into my phone. The sauce on a McFlurry is just brutal. All the toppings go to one side, either the bottom or the top, the north or the south. There's no toppings, syrup, anything, east or west, no matter what way you're facing. So it's honestly not the best experience. So I guess if I did it myself, it would be better. Okay, do you know what? That's what I'm going to take away from this episode. I can be the cream egg McFlurry you wish to see in the world. Be the change. But again, I'm not understanding. Also, what's with the, they have the chicken Big Mac. Is that something we need to be promoting? Like, you've always had a Big Mac, and you've always had the chicken patties. Like, is it like you've always had it, and then I'm seeing limited time only. Limited time. Are you getting rid of the Big Mac? Are you getting rid of chicken? Also, do you think chickens are pissed at that? They're like, really? You're creating more demand for people to eat us? If I was a chicken, I'd be pissed. Pissed. Like, leave the cows, in their section. We'll supply the junior chickens. That's fine. And the chicken McNuggets, although honestly, no one is more friendly to chickens than McDonald's, because if you've tasted their chicken, especially the nuggets, I don't think those chickens had feathers. Let me just say that. I don't think they had beaks. I don't think they said cock-a-doodle-doo. Is a rooster a chicken? I don't know, but there is something fishy going on with the chicken. But you know what there's something not fishy going on about? Their Fillet-O-Fish, because I'm pretty sure that fish has never seen the ocean. If you got a Fillet-O-Fish and took it to the beach, it'd say, oh my gosh, where are we? It would have no idea. I would have no idea what the water was. Whatsoever. That's from a factory. I'm sorry. It's from a factory. They'd smell the salt air at the ocean and be like, oh my gosh, this reminds me of the McDonald's fryers. It would not remind them of the years that they allegedly spent in the ocean as fish. It would not. They never had gills. Finding Nemo would be a new experience for them. I bet you they would love to take, I'm going to buy a bunch of Fillet-O-Fish and take them on the Finding Nemo ride at Disneyland, where you go underneath in the submarine in the water. And I could bring them to their natural habitat, but it was never their habitat to begin with. Which is so sad. I'm going to make a cartoon about a Fillet-O-Fish finally reaching the sea. I think that'll be a Razzie favorite for 2027. But regardless, I think we're gonna keep our eyes peeled, as they've been telling us to do on that one. And then just one more quick thing I want to complain about. I was at the grocery store the other day and saw that Coke has a new flavor out, Coca-Cola. Now, please explain to me the reasoning behind their last few flavors. Of course, they have Diet Coke, Coke Zero, regular Coke, vanilla Coke. I think you can sometimes get cherry Coke. They have normal flavors. But the last few, the flavors are called Move, I think is the new one. What the hell does Move taste like? Move makes me think of working out, which makes me think of sweat. So is it sweat in our Coke and Coke Zero? Because they do a Coke Zero version, which is very, kind of them. And I think the last one was Dream. And then they had another one that was Space. And P.S., they all taste the same. They all taste the same. It tastes like Coke with more sugar. Even if you get the zero sugar version, which is very concerning and makes no sense to me. But am I supposed to know what Galaxy tastes like? And they don't, it's not it's subtitled that. That's what it's called. It's not Coke Dragon Fruit and then in brackets, Bedmass Move. No, it's just Coke Move with a fancy label. Coke Space. Fillet-O-Fish. It's just not making any sense to me. No sense to me. And I guess here's the thing, not everything has to make sense to me. I'm very open to the conclusion that, things are allowed to exist that aren't for me. But I just feel Coke, I drink Coke more than water, especially Coke Zero more than water. So I should be the demo for that. And I need an explanation as to what Move is. I'm going to Google it. Coke Move. Honestly, all of these things are not that great. Okay, here we go. Coke Move is a tribute to different phases of transformation mixing a great but familiar Coca-Cola taste with both bold and delicate flavors. But what are the bold and delicate flavors? Like, I don't... Yeah, Dream World was the other one. Like, what? What? And then to not tell us what it is? Like, how does the Food and Drug Administration even approve this? Starlight, that was it. Yes, Starlight, Dream World, Intergalactic. That sounds like vomit. And then they're limited edition, and then they go away, and then they come back just rebranded as something else. Very reminiscent of when Oreo did their mystery flavor, which they said was churro, but was just cinnamon bun. It was they repackaged cinnamon bun as a mystery flavor, marked it up, and put it on the shelves. Either I need to be in marketing, or I am the thing that will take it down. And I think that is a good place to end. So I want to thank you all for joining me, all 9 of you. It meant so much. It would have meant so much. If you were real, I would tell you that you can check out the Nobody Asked for This podcast. Most places where podcasts are found. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon. You might have to dig on all of those platforms because we're definitely not like in the first results, but we'll be there. We have a website, podcastnobodyaskforthis.podbean.com. What else do we do? We have an Instagram, we have a Twitter, we have a TikTok. TikTok we haven't. I kind of bowed out of TikTok, I have to say. But if you want to go look at our, the archives, the 10 that we might have done. Again, I'm saying it's just me. The 10 that I might have done like almost a year ago. You can feel free to do so. And yeah, I will. Well, I was going to say I will see you next week. There's no seeing involved in this medium. But you might hear me if you were, a listener. You might hear me next week. But I'm open to anything. So thank you so much. I hope next time I'm coming to you live with a Cadbury Cream Egg McFlurry, even though I do usually record these in the morning. That would be a little bit concerning. But I will make an exception. Have a great week. Have a great spring. If I was the first person to tell you happy spring, what an honor. And yeah, bye.